we can get ethics if we look at how people are behaving, and you say he should or shouldn't have done that, and then he had retribution from society, or he suffered in the future because of it, and we could make a moral injunction against that. Actual concrete instances in reality that lead us to say, well, we'll call this branch ethics. Now you've got all these scattered bunches of, you've got ethics and politics and induction and the scientific method from science, and all these scattered around. These are higher up abstractions that come from other abstractions. What is a scientist? What are chemicals? And he's mixing, a scientist mixing chemicals. This is chemistry. These are inductions built on inductions. These are abstractions built on abstractions. Groupings built upon groupings. Right? So now we're quite a ways up here. We got all these things floating around, and we're going to put them all together. Right? Ethics and politics and induction and the scientific method. We're all going to bundle all these things into a bag called philosophy. So philosophy isn't something that you can just immediately drop right down to the concrete reality. It comes down in steps, one step after another. Be wary, ladies and gentlemen, of people who cannot concretize their meaning, because it is in all likelihood gibberish. Or, if it could be concretized in the right hands, that means they don't know what they're talking about. So, be wary of yourself when you are trying to convert people, that you are able to concretize what you're talking about. If you can't give concrete examples of what you're saying, then you don't know what you're talking about, and you may be talking a slight amount of nonsense. Or more than a slight, maybe. More than a slight amount, possible. Many people on YouTube think they can just throw this and that and the other into a group and put a word on it, and they're done. They walk away looking smart because they've grouped something. Like the schizophrenic who put Jesus in cigar bands, right? Or like the alchemists of old who would put a dash of gold and a little bit of bat's blood and some arsenic and some garlic powder and different things, and they would try to turn it all into gold. Maybe the gold would seed the rest of it. Gold actually, it's chemically inert, so they were ridiculous anytime they ever used gold in a recipe. If you ever see gold in an alchemist's recipe, or even in a what is it called, an apothecary recipe, the old pharmacists in the old days were called apothecaries, and it says that in there you've got to have a dash of gold, that's ridiculous. Gold's chemically inert. Okay, so back to our abstractions. We've got therefore a large number of abstractions that have to come from reality, and if you're not talking about things that you can take to reality, that you got from reality, you're not talking about reality. You're not talking about reality. Watch out for these people. Watch out that you're not one of them who's running around snapping your jaw about stuff that doesn't relate to reality, cannot be reduced to the five senses, can't, after some number of steps, be brought back to the universe. For example, let's say they start out by saying there's a possibility that there are other universes. And you say, well, what's your evidence for that? Well, we live in this universe, okay, and there could be other ones. Wait, what? How did you get there? I don't see it. You didn't show me any evidence. All you showed me is that there's a universe. You haven't said that there's more than one. By the way, a universe is that which exists, according to the Greeks. That's their word for everything that exists. The universe, one. So if you find another universe over there, how would you find it, by the way? How would you ever get out of our universe? Good luck. But let's say you do. Guess what? It's part of our universe. So don't ever let them talk nonsense. Even scientists are liable to talk nonsense if they don't know this rule, which goes back to Aristotle's posterior analytics, analytica posteriori, the analysis of posterior information, information from the senses is what that means. Information after birth, essentially. Because a priori knowledge is knowledge that you don't need information from reality for. By the way, a priori knowledge does not exist. It is like ice cubes that sink in water. It's just in the imagination. We can come up with imaginary things. We can come up with dragons and unicorns and gods, and other universes outside of our universe, and 12-dimensional soccer ball hologram explanations of our universe, we can come up with some really amazing, fantastic, bizarre things. These are abstractions, but they do not come from reality and cannot be reduced to reality and are therefore nonsense. Alright, I think let's put that out there and see how that goes. Abstractions do not exist. The only thing that exists is the concretes they come from, and if you can't get your abstraction back down to concretes, that abstraction doesn't exist in any sense at all, except for your pure imagination and fantasy. Like gods, gremlins, dark matter, some people say black holes. I don't know. You always have to give evidence for it, or else you're talking very slight nonsense.